Yeah, we got a much closer one in the last match than we were expecting. Albin Ocean was 8-1 up. So both of them have been 9-6 earlier this evening. If you weren't with us, Joshua Filler, winner of this title 2 years ago, was really struggling early on. He was 4-1 down against Eklund Kachi, who was last year's runner-up. Filler gradually took control of it. Still had to pull away at the end from 6-all, but did so with 3 racks on the bounce. So Filler's through, Ocean's through. Can Shaw make it a perfect night for European Mosconi Cup players? But it's Yapp to start us off.
And Jayson, I've always felt with this format one of the best breakers out there, and I think Yapp, that was one of the things he really struggled with at first, but don't think you're going to see a Kachi break or SVB break from Yapp, but it's an area he's certainly improved at, one you have to have if you're going to take down one of these titles. Excuse me.
27 years of age, will be 28 this day next week. Ranked number 10 in the world, which is where he started the year. There's a huge leap up the rankings in 2023 because he'd started that year number 33. It was one of those that you looked at and thought, well, he's not going to stay there for long. He's a much better player than that. And here he is now inside the world's top 10.
Trying to get around above this pink 4 so he can play some type of safety, easy safety behind the black 8. Again, I think the break is the one thing that Jayson will have the advantage. I mean, Jayson, of course, when it comes to potting the ball, one of the best there is, but one thing that Aloysius, he's very good at that as well, but very, very good with the cue ball. In my opinion, one of the best position players in the game.
So Jayson Shaw then, 35 years of age, finished 2023 as number 5 in the world, which was an improvement of 1 place on the start of the year.
Extension called.
Number 5 is where he is in the current standings.
Awkward cueing over the black 8. It's going to go 1 cushion at this pink 4. Doesn't need a ton of speed, but he needs enough to get a little bit of separation. Maybe cue ball to the side rail, pink 4 to the opposite.
Foul stroke.
Kick shot opened up, so it's going to be ball in hand for Yapp.
Please start the clock.
I think all players are, you know, the first match is the most difficult, as Albin said, and Josh said both, and after winning. But I think for these two, maybe the most difficult, I think, maybe waiting. Seeing some anxious moments from some other players in earlier matches. May take the 6 on, the green 6 in the lower left. It's closer to the left middle, but that requires a little bit touchy cue ball, and you don't really want an angle on the 6 when playing into the 7. Spent a lot of time with Aloysius, and we have a mutual good friend back in Dallas that's from Singapore and used to come there quite often, spend some time, and just a wonderful human being. Really good dude.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think I've ever seen him speaking without a big happy smile on his face.
Yeah, he's a very appreciative and very humble guy, and I almost want him to be a little less humble at times, just because I think the players, of course, know how great he is, but it's almost like that can tell you how great you are when you have maybe a hair of arrogance, but that's not the case with Mr. Yapp. Whirlpool Masters the last 2 years have not been very good for Jayson, and not really too much of his own fault. Made one mistake last year and got knocked out of the event. Very lopsided score line, pretty much the same thing the year before.
Not going his way in the very early stages of this first round match. Aloysius Yapp puts the first rack on the board. Player who's been very close to walking off with the trophy in matchroom events in the past on a couple of occasions. Runner-up in the US Open, the first time it was played in Atlantic City back in 2021. Had some really good wins along the way, including Joshua Filler and Shane Van Boning. Beat both of those comfortably. Past winners of that US Open title. Had a good lead, really, in the final against Carlo Biado. And it all turned on a 9 that he missed, which would have put him just a few racks away from victory. And then Biado dominated from then on and won 13-8. Yapp, the following year, was part of the Singapore team that got to the final of the World Cup of Pool, beaten by Spain.
Thank you, rack 2. Aloysius Yapp to break. Getting 1 rack to nil.
You can see Jayson Shaw has come close to winning this title in the past. 7 years ago, the runner-up.
Not a bad break. I'll miss the one, but I think you'll see as the match goes, especially when Jayson gets a chance to break the ball, it's just doesn't get quite the easy movement on the rack like some other players do. Sometimes that's not the player's fault as much as it just doesn't take much for things to change in 9-ball pool. Always difficult to push out, and people that are new to 9-ball pool, after the break and after the break only, the breaker, if making a ball, or the incoming player on a dry break, has the option to declare push out. They can push the cue ball anywhere they want. The incoming player has the option to either take the shot or pass it back.
Extension call.
We'd like to tie the 2-7 up here, but I don't know if that really is on offer.
Jayson, it's your choice.
Yeah, you alluded to how hard it's been for him in this event the last couple of years. JJ's not really had an opportunity to do much about it. In fact, he's lost his opening match in each of the last 4 World Masters, has Jayson Shaw.
He's got to take this on, trying to play the 1 underneath the pink 4 and bring the cue ball up the right side rail, kind of splitting the 2 balls. Just too much cover there with the 6, the green 6 and the pink 4. That's why it took Yapp so long to push out. He knew he was going to be up against it. Yapp has kind of changed his stroke a little bit at times, for certain shots especially. You'll see he plays with a pause in the back of the cue ball, or back of the stroke, excuse me, on some shots, but then some shots not. What a beautiful kick shot there. Definitely by design. Oh, he's cut off the 1 rail kick as well, so it's super difficult here for Jayson. Happy with that hit.
As I said, I was talking to Jayson for quite a while earlier today, and in addition to all that swimming and fitness work that he was telling me about, he's also been really struggling with his right foot in recent weeks. He's had to have a lot of attention on it, and it's still causing him problems.
Trying to cut the 1 and zigzag the cue ball here behind the 9, maybe behind the 7. He's going to bank it in. He'll take that. I'll talk to Jayson a bit about that. It was, I think, what he told me, the doctor, it was like a severe strain that he kind of let linger and didn't really think it was much, and it kind of got worse on him as the last month or so has gone.
He's had to have all his footwear adjusted and have orthotic inserts put in.
So it's been 2 nice safeties. Nice kick and return, then a bit of a fluke on the 1 ball, but Shaw back in control. This is the difficult hit here. Can he wrap the corner right near the 7 and get at the two cushions? No, he's got to come to the short rail.
Foul stroke, ball in hand.
Almost managed to just clip an edge of it on the way, but bottom line is it's ball in hand, and chance for Shaw to finally get stuck into this match. Won a tournament this month already in Pennsylvania. Beat Pius Labutas in the final. Second time that Labutas from Lithuania has been in a ranking event final already in 2024. So since the World Nineball Tour ranking system began at the start of 2022 across all the events big and small, nobody has won more of them than Shaw. That was his 6th success in that time, level with Francisco Sanchez Ruiz. Of course, the highlight of those 6, Hanoi Open back in October.
Man, it's hard not to think about Saudi coming up in the World Nineball Championships. That huge purse, of course, and kind of new avenues for the World Nineball Tour. And great things. But you talk about a guy like Pius Labutas, of course, all 16 here gearing up for that. But there's going to be a name or two that makes a deep run, and I tell you, that's a guy you got to pay attention to.
Yeah, he went very close to the final of one of the big matchroom events last year. So Jayson Shaw taking full advantage of ball in hand there, leveling at 1-all. So Ben Taylor Fuente setting up the balls again for the next rack. And explain to us, JJ, the importance of how the referee racks them and how important it is to get it absolutely right.
Yeah, well, the game has changed in the last several years where there's a lot of templates now. You can see there's no wood rack or nothing around the balls, right? So it's a one in the front, 9 in the middle. Everything else is random, but you can see him kind of massaging the balls there, trying to make sure everything is frozen. As good as the templates are, they do require a little bit of work, but it's just to ensure that, you know, a much higher percentage of the same rack for both players.
Jayson Shaw to break. Scores a tie. 1 rack.
Break rule's tough enough as it is, so.
And here's our first look at Jayson Shaw's break.
I think you'll see a little more effortless power. Now, this is what I'm curious about, because I've been around Jayson, know him really well, and you know, always pulling for him, or at least usually pulling for him. Not so much in December, but you know, when you've been doing the right things away from the table, usually your mental game's a little stronger. And I think when he doesn't get shots after the break, that's the one that really eats him up. So, and he's very good tactically. That's another thing that he doesn't get enough credit for, probably, especially the last 7 or 8 years, 6, 7 years. When he first arrived, it was just, hey, let me knock in a long one and run some racks. But is he going to swerve at this? He's very good at this shot as well. If he makes it, should come between the 6-8. You may go with this. You may go with this. This is a hard one to hang. Come to the back side of the purple 5, some couple rails, a little bit of a two-way shot. He's kind of queuing high on the ball. It's interesting. He's going to play the safety. Looks a bit heavy.
Just going back to what we were talking about with the braking. I know that in the matchroom events, it isn't permitted for a player to go down and inspect the rack. So explain to us why a player would want to do that. What might he learn if he was able to go and inspect it?
Well, through all the years of racking the balls and just, using the wooden rack, you learn about gaps. If one gap's on one side of the wing ball versus no gaps on the other side, kind of, watch out, cue ball. This is the slick table that got him.
Flat stroke, all in hand.
And so, you kind of favor one side to break from versus the other. The one thing you'll notice with the players these days, you can't inspect the rack, and the refs do a great job, is they will look at the line on the rack to see if it's accidentally tilted a hair to one side. That will influence the side of the box they break from.
So once again, it looks like ball in hand is going to be decisive in this rack.
Yeah, Max talked about a equipment change. There's been many players, of course, the game's changing, and so is some of the business side of things. Here's another one that has changed equipment not long ago, Jayson Shaw. Back with the long extension, might we add.
Yeah, so many of these top players now are on really quite lucrative equipment contracts. And it becomes very much a partnership with their supplier. So Aloysius Yapp won the first rack of this match. Jayson Shaw has taken both since then, and he now leads for the first time in this first round contest by 2 racks to 1.
Okay, Jayson. Thank you.
7 years ago, Jayson Shaw was 1 rack away from winning this World Masters. He's hoping for big success here this week in Germany on the back of some very good form over the last few months, and he's leading 2-1 against Aloysius Yapp.
Yeah, really kind of an odd strike on the cue ball there. Not sure. We'll get another look here in a moment. Yeah, he hit him just a bit thin. You'll notice the cue ball got a kiss way down by that first diamond near the brown 7 where it's at now.
You can always feel Shaw's frustration when he comes up dry from the break, because he just has an insatiable appetite for getting stuck in and potting balls, and he doesn't even get off the mark with that. You can feel. Now he senses he's been thwarted by the pool gods.
Nice opener there. Wasn't difficult by any means, but one that could get away a little bit. Sets up nicely, really, the 2-3. See the red 3 near the corner. The pink 4 will be played in the right middle, most likely. So it gets a little thin here, but then really the 5, the purple 5, the 6 in the right middle, the 7, 8, and 9.
You know, we've been talking about Shaw's big win in Hanoi towards the end of last year. Well, Yapp had a similar win not long after that, the International Open. Not quite at exactly the same level in prestige, but pretty similar to it, and a really big deal to win. Beat David O'Cady in the final. In fact, it was the second week in a row that he'd won a world ranking event. He'd won a smaller event also in Virginia the week before. Ended up getting to $100,000 in prize money for the year for the first time.
Yeah, I was there for one of those wins there in Roanoke. He definitely likes Virginia. In the fall, it's a nice place to be.
Extension call.
He beat Federal Gorst in both of those events. The final of the first one. The way Gorst was playing around that time, that was confidence boost in itself.
Got a little quick with the delivery there, something you don't see from him very often. Got up off the ball once the beeps, the 5-second clock started to make its presence known, and hard to see with the slow-mo right there, the backswing, but touchy shot here though. I mean, you'd say let's just kind of go into the 7 as you bank the 4 across, but I don't know if that gets the snooker or not.
Looking to be the 4th British winner of the World Masters. Darryl Peach, the youngest ever champion back in 1995. Raj Hundal was representing England when he won 10 years later, and Darren Appleton then was champion in 2009.
Interesting shot there, and maybe played kind of a double bank, but pool's a funny game. Funny sport as far as when you're shooting at a ball, you know, you're willing to sell out, you're not worried about it. But in safeties, when you're playing safeties, you want to play something that gives you a little room for error. Normally, that's kind of the mentality. He's going to kick, try and bring the cue ball behind the brown 7. Caught it a little thin, did get the pink 4 to the top cushion. The 7 is cut off the big time, the rail to kick to, so this is going to be a difficult hit. In fact, I'm not sure what he's going to do here. It looks like he's going for the short cue, but he's going to jump over the 7. I was going to say and go to the rail. It'd be hard pressed to jump over the 6 from that distance, but this makes more sense.
He loved that, didn't he? It's like I was saying a few minutes ago, he just wants to get stuck in and get on with potting balls and pulling off shots like that.
Tell you, just like a big mistake, big shot, you got to leave it behind, because another tester here on the purple 5.
It's finding that Shaw rhythm early here.
Shots like the purple 4 that he pulled off the jump kick. An incredible 5 ball. That's why the players like to stay aggressive. They know how well the other players escape these days. So I think you're going to see more of that as we go on with the World Nineball Tour.
Started the rack frustrated by his right break. Finishes it very happy indeed. Nice run out there for Jayson Shaw. 3 in a row. He now leads Aloysius Yapp 3-1. Opening night, JJ, we've got to make our picks, and I know you went for Shane Van Bonen earlier, but we just expect that now. So, outside of SVB, who would you fancy this week?
Maybe the guy you're looking at right there. I mean, I think he's in a good place. I don't think there's any more of a sport that really breathes and kind of lives around confidence. Here's a look at that jump kick onto the pink. Perfectly. And, you know, what was the last big, well, we had the PLP, of course, which is a little different format, but the last one that really had the prestige, I guess, somewhat of the Whirlpool Masters would be the inaugural Hanoi, right? And here's the guy who won that. I have to think about it, but I like Jason's chances. Pool gods might be on his side as well.
Jayson Shaw's a break.
Carl went for Albin Ocean, who has since won his first match, and I've gone for Federer Gorst. So Jayson Shaw really into his stride now. A couple of racks clear as he starts us off in the 5th.
Yeah, I'll tell you, in the first match, I saw the 9 move a bit without getting the kiss. Like there, you see it dribble off outside the rack. Usually if everything's intact, the 9 will stay inside the rack. Of course, the energy from the break itself may move it an inch or so, but when it starts to get a lot of movement, that usually means something's loose, and they tend to miss the 1 a bit more often. See a little shake of the head there from Jayson. And it's understandable because the break is still a big part of the game, but I appreciate the players that can just come and go with it, you know, because you're going to have your days some days, and other days it's going to be your opponents.
Not for the first time, the US Open was the tournament which delivered Yapp's best performance in a matchroom event in 2023. Had some fine wins. Mario He in the last 16, Victor Zielinski in a close quarter-final. Then in the semis ran into Ko Ping Chung, who beat him 11-0. Yapp did not pot a single ball. Some good runs in other matchroom events last year, though. Last 16 of the European Open and same stage of the Hanoi Open. I think he'll have been a bit more disappointed with that one because it was Kyle Amoroto, the young player, who knocked him out. A match that I think he would have been expecting to win and certainly was favourite for to get through to the quarters, but the chance passed him by. But a very consistent year overall.
Yeah, wasn't it Kyle that knocked out SVB as well? I think last year. This could land funny. This could land funny near the rail. Could be problems. This may be a natural scratch in the upper right corner if he plays it in the side with a level cue stick. So near the rail with the cue ball does have a little area to kind of elevate and hit downward. Oh, he can level out. I thought he had to elevate if he played it in the side.
Extension cool.
Yeah, way up with the cue stick. Easy to overcut this. Easy to miss it both ways, actually. The reason why the overcut happens, Michael, is the cue ball when you elevate, it kind of jumps when you have speed, and when the ball's in the air, it kind of hits a little more on top of the 6 and tends to cut the ball a little easier.
Just to clarify what we were saying a moment ago, Amoroto did beat SVB in Hanoi, but not to knock him out. It was then Ocean who eventually knocked him out later on after SVB had to come through on the loser's side.
Yeah, I remember that scratch that SVB had to finish the match or get on the hill, I believe it was. And so much young talent coming from the Philippines. And, well, wouldn't doubt they become the #1 country again.
Jayson Shaw wins the rack.
So for the second rack in a row, Jayson Shaw broke dry, but he's won them both. And he's now pulling away here at 4-1. Yeah, Regulario as well, of course. Bernie Regulario from that part of the world. So many good young players.
Anton Raga.
Oh, yeah. Well, he's been around a couple of years as someone who was known within the game, and then we saw him turn up at a matchroom event and almost won it, which was amazing. That was one of the big stories of last year.
Yeah, it was incredible. Sorry, Michael.
Yeah, I was just also going to mention, of course, that the absolute highlight for the Philippines last year was winning the World Cup for the record 4th time.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what happens with the pool gods. A couple dry breaks, a couple really golden opportunities for Yapp to maybe take a lead or tie the score the last few games. I wouldn't doubt a break and run. Now, I kind of wasn't in love with the way Jayson kind of seemed like he just kind of smacked the last rack a little bit. I like a little bit more by design, I would think.
Playing in the World Masters for the 8th successive time.
Thank you, rack 6. Jayson Shaw to break. Giving 4 racks to 1.
And the 9th in total. Made his debut some 14 years ago.
Nineball.
Oh, good call.
Jayson Shaw wins
Finally
the
made the 1, not by design, and the 9 went the same way. So the first golden break we've seen here. Jayson Shaw has now won 5 in a row. He leads Aloysius Yapp by 5 racks to 1. The initials GB often to be found next to Jayson Shaw's name over the years, usually standing for Great Britain, this time for Golden Break. After frustration with dry breaks in the 2 previous racks, very different story in rack number 6. But ultimately, it had the same outcome as all of the 4 that immediately preceded it. 5 in a row now for Jayson Shaw. After losing the opener, he's very quickly taken firm control of this first round match against Aloysius Yapp, and he leads by 5 racks to 1, already more than halfway to victory. First golden break of this year's World Masters. Now we've already had the break in rack 7.
Yeah, and I'm curious if he made the 1. Looking at the replays, of course, of the last, trying to get some information. If he made the 1 on the side or the corner, probably takes this 2-ball in the corner.
Well, there's your answer.
And he did try to slow roll the 2, the blue 2. Difficult jump shot there, going over 2 balls with quite a bit of gap. The 2-ball near a rail as well, so easy to fly the cue ball off the table. Yeah, I think I like what he's going to do here. I think here's the slow roll on the 2. See, it was just a hair wide the whole way.
Extension call.
Is he going 1 rail by between the 4 and 7 here? The pink 4 and the brown 7? The reason why I like this is if you make it, you're not going to follow this in, I don't think.
Foul stroke.
What a jinx.
Jeremy Jones calls a shot wrong for the first time, and it wasn't even really
Restart
wrong.
the clock.
Well, I wouldn't say for the first time, by maybe for the 3rd time today is all, but which isn't too bad. But look at the angle to follow that in. He had to bend the cue ball basically. Now, Jayson maybe entertained a 3-9 combination, ball in hand and that much space between. You want to figure he's going to just go for the simple clearance or traditional clearance. Just knowing Jayson and his stroke and everything else, I think he's still pretty amped up. I think he's not quite settled. Now he's hitting the ball well, but I'm just saying the heartbeat's going.
He had a lot of relatively early exits in the big matchroom events throughout last year, but started to turn things around at the US Open. Looked like he might win it. He was starting to emerge as the favourite in many people's eyes going into the quarterfinals. Had a big lead against Alexa Pechelj, but then the young player from Serbia really turned it around to beat him. And of course, it all culminated in a big finish to 2023, the Hanoi Open win, and then yet another successful week at the Mosconi Cup. He's raced through another rack there. It's taken him very little time to win half a dozen in a row. He only needs 3 more now to go through because he leads 6-1. Did you feel, JJ, going into the Moscone, it was your 4th attempt to get that W, as you put it, that this was your last chance, that if you weren't able to win at Alexandra Palace, you might not have been given another shot?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't think about it much. I mean, I had a big job to try and tackle, right? But, you know, you always kind of feel that, I think. I mean, you know, the Moscone's fickle, and, of course, the sport's going in great directions. So, you know, even Ralph Eckert, who had won this past year, they changed the playing captains, and no one can argue that. So I think you'll always think about that, win or lose, but especially after a few losses. But, you know, there were some circumstances there. And I think a couple of years we had a good chance to really win. You know, but for now, we just got to move forward, let the red, white, and blue shine. Well, he's backed off the break by design, meaning, like Carl says, some of the players will take a little bit of pace off the break shot, something like 60 or 70% total. He's kind of unleashing on them. Saw this a few years ago in the Moscone, where the Euros were missing the one in the side, but they were making it a lot in the corner or dressing it up in the corner while making other balls. Not going to pass on this. On the slick table, you could actually scratch in the top left. Get this nice. Get this nice. A lot of control.
You know, he made that look really easy, but boy, it wasn't.
No, I think the make on the one was much easier than the path on the cue ball. The control with the short cue. I'll tell you, the way this is going, Yapp's going to look at that couple games when it was 1-1 and then 2-1, where there were dry breaks and a really easy opener on the one, and the guy that usually, when he gets in position with the cue ball, stays in position, and that wasn't the case.
Well, we hadn't seen a golden break in the tournament till a couple of racks ago. Jayson Shaw rectified that. I don't remember seeing anyone pot 3 off the break today prior to this rack. Now we've had that as well. It's another very quick kill. Jayson Shaw just a couple away now from the quarterfinals. He leads Yapp 7-1. It must have been frustrating for you, just continuing to reflect on the Moscone, JJ, that you just look at the final score of the match and it looks like USA weren't competitive at all. But there were a number of close matches there and several that could have gone another way and made it a good deal closer.
Yeah, I mean, you know, bottom line, we got beat and the score was a little lopsided. It was pretty much like 2020, where I think we lost 6 hill matches and lost by the same score of 11-3. And then the 2 years between, though, we were really there to win. But I mean, hats off. I mean, I think they had 3 MVP performances, in my opinion, and a very solid David Alcady in that Moscone last year. So we just didn't turn the tide early, and that's what you got to do.
And some good signs from Shane Wolford finally getting that Moscone debut, and he looked quite comfortable with it all.
Yeah, and you know, I talked about that before in a few interviews, that, you know, the good thing with that was Shane made all these tough shots. Now he's just got to maybe get himself a little more consistent. Oh, another one in the upper left.
Oh, he's trying to will it in, isn't he?
Yeah, well, he's got a couple easy ones. The blue 2, stop your ball. He's played the 3 in the side and maybe a 4-9. The pink 4 onto the 9 to get to the hill. But yeah, great signs there, and a lot of other great signs for America as far as other players that, of course, that has a little bit and a lot to do with the World Nineball Tour, getting all these players back out playing.
It's another rack that's taken no time at all, and it's the 8th in a row that Jayson Shaw has won. He needs just one more to book his place in the last 8. Just thinking back, JJ, to last year, beaten 9-1 on the opening night by Ko Pin-Yi. Could be a complete reversal. 12 months on for sure, he could be a 9-1 winner on the first night of the World Masters. Yeah, this is the winning combination. He was never going to miss that.
No, not at all. And it was 2 years ago that he got just really 2 strokes of the cue against Fortunsky, I believe it was. And
yeah,
He exited 7-0 in that one, and Fortunski, of course, went on to the semis. That was the year Loho Sum made all that noise.
Yeah, he got to the final and was beaten by Joshua Filler.
Yeah, had a good chance in that final, if you remember.
Jayson Shaw to break on the hill, leading 8 racks to 1.
Aloysius Yapp get any sort of chance to do anything about this. Jayson Shaw, very quickly, is on the hill.
Well, there's been, I wouldn't say much consistency with the cue ball, maybe a little more with the 9 in the upper left, considering the break, but we had an 8-1 score that changed quite a bit in our last match. Don't see that now. I think it's going to be a break and run to end.
Yeah, Max Lechner, 8-1 down, got back to 8-6 against Albin Ocean. Had a chance in the next rack, missed that 3, and then Ocean saw it out.
He's got to play another nice one in the corner. Just a little kill stroke here on the brown 7. The 8-9 near, and again, Yapp wants a few back, but it was all eagle eye.
You know, last year, all 5 of the European team that had recently won the Mosconi Cup were beaten in the first round here. But it's been a very different story on the opening night of the 2024 World Masters, because after wins earlier tonight for Joshua Filler and for Albin Ocean, Jayson Shaw has produced the standout performance of the opening day. He lost the first rack to Aloysius Yapp, but along the way he had a golden break during his march of 9 in a row to beat Yapp by 9 racks to 1. Jayson Shaw is through to the quarterfinals, and he will now play either Shane Van Boning or Duong Quoc Huang. So let's have a look at some numbers, which of course all very much favour Jayson Shaw. Such a dominant performance, really. Bit of good fortune maybe at 1 or 2 moments, but he pulled out some spectacular shots. Had the golden break in rack 6, and really towards the end he was just absolutely flowing along in a way that we've seen from him so many times, but not here last year, as I say. Such a contrast, and that is actually the first match that Jayson Shaw has won in the World Masters for 6 years. And you can see he only missed 1 pot in the whole match. Yapp missed quite a few. And remarkable as it seems, even with that performance and the result that he's had, you could actually point to that performance and say that there are ways in which Shaw could quite definitely improve as the tournament goes on. Anyway, he's always got plenty to say for himself, and I'm sure he will after that result. He's down with Diane Carl.
Oh, thank you very much, Mike. Yeah, these guys are just catching up. Jayson, I mean, you were just looking at those stats there going, yeah, 100%, pretty good. Yeah, you feeling good after that performance? It was pretty incredible.
Yeah, I think it's about time I put on some performances in these events, you know. No, I'm just joking. He had some bad luck on the breaks. A couple of kick shots, he scratched off them, and, you know, the game's such fine margins, and it just flipped really quickly there, you know. It was like 2-1, then all of a sudden it was 6-1, just with a couple of bad rolls, but that's the game.
Yeah, I mean, the momentum goes so quickly. Impressed with the golden break as well?
Yeah, I was more impressed with the jump kick that he played, but he's lost a lot of weight there. Obviously, you've not really seen a lot of Jayson.
Looking good.
He's flying around the table now. Is that a lot to do with it, Jay, the fitness and the mentality now?
Yeah, obviously, you know, when you've gained a bit of weight and everybody's coming up to you and giving you rubbing your belly all the time, you know, it kind of was getting to me a little bit. So, you know, I feel like when I'm, you know, healthy and I'm working out, I feel good mentally. So, you know, and it shows there. You know, when I'm not in shape, I'm thinking about other things.
Yeah, it gets the endorphins going, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You swim for a couple of hours a day, I believe.
Yeah, I've been swimming for like 2 hours a day for the last couple of months. So, you know,
Wow.
I feel really good in myself. I feel good on the table, and you know, hopefully in the next few months things start to run my way, because I've been putting in the work, you know.
Yeah.
So hopefully
stuff.
that's the start of it.
Oh, it was excellent. Well, you've got a lot of responsibility now, haven't you, being captain of the Mosconi European side? But let's have a look at that golden break, which I mentioned just a second ago. And What's going through your head now? It's going in.
Well,
brilliant.
I already waved at him, if you look.
Let's have a look at the wave.
Watch right here, I knew it was going in right there. I already kind of waved
in a second. Of course, you know this. Hey, there we go.
But yeah, the games, you know, sometimes it's brutal, but you got to take what you can get.
Yeah. Just what kind of talent is Jayson?
Big talent, known him a long time. You know, we go back into sort of, well, you know, when Jayson was about this high and I was about that high, you know, he used to grab the cue and just hit the balls that were left on the table. He's always been a good potter of the ball. You know, that's the game he plays, and I think he's just sent a message to the rest of the field with that performance.
Oh, it was very, very good. Get some sleep tonight. You got a day off tomorrow.
Swimming tomorrow.
Swimming for 15 hours, and we'll see you on Saturday.
Thank you.
So we will let you go and relax. Thanks. So don't forget those. Yeah. These are the results from today. Thank you, Jayson. Good evening. So our first match of the day was Joshua Filler, the winner in 2022 against last year's finalist, Eklund Kaci, a 9-6 victory for the German. And then at an all-Austrian affair, Ocean taking that one. And we've just seen the dominance of Jayson Shaw in that final game.